Greetings, Glitter Gang, and welcome back to Kathryn Scraps Live. My name is Kathryn, and I hope you're doing well. Today, we're going to be working on the second layer of this album, which is the Snow Much Fun album, which is a 9 by 6.5 inch album. We're going to be chatting a little bit about the house in the pines. Probably, we're not going to exhaustively talk about it, but we'll touch on it a little bit. I have the book club guide, but mostly we're going to be working. I am going to try and get this all constructed if I can. I do have to move Marcel because he stole my seat. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to put up the full book club list for 2024 just because there are two changes. That's April and October. So if you just want to make a note of those changes to April and October because that may affect your holds. Hey, buddy. I'm sorry. I know you're sick. Can I move you, please? Thank you. Aw, poor little guy. Poor little guy. Yeah. I'm sorry. I know, you just want someone to hold you. I'm so sorry. Okay, so he's been deposited in his spot. So essentially, the changes that were made is this month's book was somewhat unpopular. And I was just concerned that we might have a really tough year because two of the other books on the list that I've already read, I thought would be similarly received. So we discussed that a little bit this afternoon, and I put up a poll, and the vote was that we would use the 2022 Reese's Choice picks for April and October, which are the two books that I knew. So if the book that was April, which is Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld, looks good to you, check it out. It could be right up your alley. As well as it's competently written. I could see how it could be funny, And then October, Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Ng replaces Starling House by Alex E. Harrow, which is a YA, new adult, young adult, not young, but adult, but for younger adults. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think it's technically adult, but it reads a little young. It's a horror. It's a gothic horror, and it's a fantasy. And yeah, I don't think that was going to win either. So anyway, so those are the changes to the book club. So that's that. Now, this little thing right here in the corner, when you see this on the screen, that means I'm talking about the book pictured there, which in this case is The House in the Pines. If you don't want to know anything about The House in the Pines, mute while I have that on. I will try not to be discussing anything spoilery and giving instructions at the same time so that you shouldn't miss instructions. But if I do need to give instructions while we're talking about the book, I'll take this down, I'll give the instruction, and I'll put it back up. So, and I'm going to try and wave my hands like this before I take it down to catch your attention if you need it. So, so that's it for book club. Just a reminder, no shows next week on February 8th because we're going to be doing Scrappy Bowl prep that day. Specifically, Liz and I are going to try and tidy this room a little bit. That's going to be our big project for Thursday. So make it sparkle for guests. To make it sparkle for guests. We're not doing a full detailed room tour, but we are going to be doing a room tour. So there will be something. Then Scrappy Bowl itself will be on February 11th. It'll be here. It'll be at the same time as the Super Bowl. Whatever time the Super Bowl starts where you live, that's when Scrappy Bowl starts. What else? I think that's it. This weekend, this weekend the Scrappy Bowl post will go up with all the information on the drinks, the project, all that kind of stuff. Anything you need to know. That'll be going up. Oh, and the prize signups. That's the main thing. So that's going to go up this weekend. You'll have a full week to sign up for prizes. Probably Sunday through Saturday we'll run it. So we'll run it this Sunday through like midnight on Saturday. That way next Sunday we can get all the lists together of who won what, and be ready for the show. So so that'll be coming this weekend. If you don't have Facebook, get a friend or family member to put your name on the Kathryn Scraps Facebook page. It's just facebook.com/Kathryn Scraps. And yeah, that'll do it. So let's get into it. All right. So basically, this is what we're doing. So the book looks like this. Oops. I have it upside down. The book looks like this. All right. So that's the book. Where these are going to go is they're going to go here and here. All right. So they're going to make a little slit like that. And then on the backs of them, so when they lie open like this, okay, they're going to have these little pockets. And these little pockets are going to be for us to pressure fit some things, to tuck some things in. And then there'll be one right here. So that's the first thing we're going to work on, is these little pockets. So we're going to start on the inside of this. So that's where we're going to start. This project is a project where I'm giving all the measurements. So if you need any measurements or anything like that, of course, everything's in the archives as always, but this one is also a YouTube project. So it's got a YouTube playlist with all its pieces and parts. Just check the video description if you're watching a video on YouTube, or go to kathrynscraps.com and click playlists. Not kathrynscraps.com. Go to YouTube, my Kathryn Scraps YouTube channel, and click playlists. All right, let's get into it. Okay. So let me bring the paper over and make a stack of all these pieces so I don't lose them. Go over here, please. Thank you. Okie dokie. Also, just, I think I mentioned this afternoon, but if I didn't, sorry, but Marcel is sick this week. He ate a plant. He has a little, we think, and the vet thinks that we're right. We don't know for sure, but that he has a little toxicity from plants, from nibbling on plants. So that he shouldn't have. So he's kind of mopey and tired. And he may be, I haven't read Black Cake, but I've heard really good things about it, and I want to read it, and I have it on hold right now. And they're making it into a TV show, I believe. So I don't know, I can't personally recommend it, but I haven't heard a lot of bad stuff about it. I think he's going to be okay. He's already feeling much better, Kim, so thank you. But yeah, when we called the vet, he was throwing up, and he was just, we called the vet because he finally threw up on our carpet, this bright orange. I mean, like it was orange, you know. Then we found out that's like actually kind of a normal cat throw up color. So we got panicked over something that we didn't need to get panicked over. He stopped throwing up, and then he had been kind of drooling a lot because he was still nauseous, but he's not drooling as much anymore. So I think he's getting better. We just had to rest his stomach line. If he has plant toxicity, okay, come up. He knocks. This one, he knocks before he jumps up by tapping my foot to see if it's okay. It's really funny. He's a silly little guy. Okay, I'm not talking about this book, so I got to take it down. All right, but this one is a little moody because his best buddy is not feeling well and can't play with him. So he's not having a good week either for that reason. All right. So I want to pick the pattern paper that's going to line these. So I need pattern paper to line the pocket, pattern paper for the front of the pocket, the little front of the pocket, And then I need the pattern paper for the spine. So we need 1, 2, 3 patterns of paper, and then of course mirrored on the other side. So let's look and see what we have in the scrap department. And because Marcel's having a little bit of a tough time, he may be a little bit of a pest. Kitty was a huge pest earlier today. I've never seen her like this before. She was driving us crazy all day, and then we finally realized I cleaned all their food bowls in case they were sick from like a deep cleaned and really scrubbed all their food bowls, and including the parts, like not the parts that they eat out of, but like every single piece of the machines in case there was something there. And then when I did that, I must have unpaired Kitty from her bowl, and she hasn't been able to open her bowl. And I cleaned them yesterday afternoon, so she hadn't eaten in about 24 hours, and that's why she was going so wild. And we thought she was just being a snot because we had finally stopped her from eating Shredder's or Tater Tots kitten food. But actually, she was probably breaking into the kitten food because she couldn't eat her own food. So I feel pretty bad about that. So sorry to Kitty. All right, let me go look at the ones that don't have scraps, because those will cut some new sheets. So we've got the black hearts. We've got, the burr. Got the pink polka dots, which could be good, especially as a liner. Little snowflakes. You know what I think I'm going to do is I think I'll do the snowflakes as the liner and the black hearts as the front piece. Yeah. So those are the two pieces that we'll use. All right. We'll go ahead and get started with that. So anyway, it's just not been a good week in Catville. It's not been a good week in Catville. All right, so these need to be, this piece needs to be 1 3/4 inches wide. So that's the size we need to go on this panel here. 1 3/4 inches. So this is going to be somewhat tricky, but I don't think it's going to be like the end of the world, hopefully. But we are doing, you know, kind of construction and decorating at the same time. All right, so 1 3/4 by 6 1/4. By 6 1/4. All right. And then the other piece will be 6 1/4 inches square. So we need 2 of these. So 1 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, and 1 3/4 by 6 1/4. All right, so there's the 6 1/4 inch square, and now I'm going to trim this down to 6 1/4. All right, So that's those two. And then the other thing we need is we need some brads. So I'm going to look to see where I put my brads, if I can find them. If I seem to recall that I struggled to find them before, but hopefully that won't happen again. Because we're going to hold these all together with brads. So this bin says this is where the brads are. So we'll see. Okay, so there are brads in here, but it's not exactly what I was thinking, but I have this bin, or I had this bin of brads, like, and it's from Making Memories. It's very old, but it was just all different colors of brads. And I don't know where it is. Where is my bin of brads? What have I done with it? I feel like I couldn't find it last week either. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, how do I lose a whole plastic container of brads? And none of my drawers are labeled brads, so it's not like I got it into my head to put them somewhere else. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Especially because it's not like I can get another one. That company is no more. All right. Hi, Tiny. How you doing? Yeah, okay. I'm going to just look at all my other embellishment boxes to see if I put it in the wrong one. I did not appear to have done that. Just really yeah, see, it's a plastic thing like this. It's like a big vitamin thing, but it's all brads. There's brads in here, but this is my staples bin. I usually put things that are metal colored in here, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's beads. Ugh. Well, I don't know what to do. Don't know what to do. Guess I just have to do something else. Can't use brads, which is annoying because I have these cute little brads in that set that are shaped like little buttons. And I know they'd be adorable. Where could they be? Like, where would I don't understand how they're not unpacked or whatever. Like, why wouldn't I put them in the bin that says brads? Why are they not even in? Why would they even be taken out of that to be packed? You know, questions that need answers. Okay. Let's do something else. What if we find little buttons and sew them, and that's how we do it? Because the reason we want a brad is we need to put some kind of pressure. So what I'm going to be looking for is, like, do I have any white brads? Or not brads, but like tiny buttons. Lavender tiny buttons could work. Not orange. Maybe blue. All right, let's look through those. I'm just trying to make sure I see the bottom of this to see if the brads are in here, but I don't think they are. Okay. All right. Just like one day, like, to not be annoyed. Like, I just honestly would like to just be in here for one whole day without being irritated by something. And like, it's unpacked. There's not a box, so I don't know, you know, what to do. Guess I'll just have to look online for a brad assortment so I can at least have some colorful brads in the house. Okay. All right. So here's the white string. So now, this is your experience in your scrap room too. Where is it? Yeah. What's the problem? What's the problem? Oh, it looks like I put white brads in with blue brads. So there are some white ones. Gonna try and find 4 kind of similar buttons. Something like this would be ideal. All right, so that one's actually purple. These buttons I bought in a lot. All the colors I had to separate by hand. That one's also purple. See, so what I want is something kind of not shiny, not mother of pearl like this one. See, these are all mother of pearl. So I have matching buttons, but I don't. They're not like the style that I kind of want. And, you know, we may get to a point where I don't get to choose, but I'm going to at least look through the purple and blue buttons first. Or the purple and pink buttons first. Okay, so first of all, you guys go here. All right, so these are leaning kind of like more towards this, which is actually not the end of the world. If I could find 4 of this, that might be okay. Excuse me. Those 2 I do like. But, you know. That's just 2. So let's look at these. Yes, I do have a lot of very small buttons. Oh, So those I have, but they're a little bit bigger. Well, first of all, where those are is a question. I didn't throw them out, so I should still have them. But they were large, so I don't think they're the right size for what I'm trying to do. I am actually looking for small buttons. Okay, forget it. I don't care anymore. I'll just show you a different way to do it. Just like, wanted to do it a cute way. We're not going to do it a cute way. It's fine. I'll show you a functional way to do it. I think the buttons would work out eventually, but I just don't want to spend a million years on this. I just want to make progress. So, I'll be right back. I'm just going to dispose of these buttons. Well, I don't know why I said I'll be right back, because I'll be doing it on camera. Okay. So those 2 that I separated out because they were I thought they were actually purple, they were more blue when I put them next to the purple. So I'm going to leave them with the blue because the difference between them here and here, they're definitely more blue. So all I need is for a cat to eat a button. 1, 2, 3. I dropped 4. One of them rolled over this way. Here it is. All right, got them all. Dropped the bag. Okay, let me put the buttons away again. Okay. All right, so we can use the tiny attacher to do this instead. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. This gets adhered to this, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of position it where I think it needs to be. And then I'm going to flip it over and draw a line. Okay. And then that'll tell me where to put my tape. And I want to ink it as well, of course. All right. Then I'm going to ink it, and then we're going to stick it down. No idea what could have happened to those breads. It's so weird. Wow, it's really hot in here. I have to make sure my sister, that the heat's not back on. Hi, Tiny Cat. Fan heat. Cool. Hi, Tiny Cat. Hi. I can't pet you right now for very long, okay? But if you want more pets, you can come over and say hi to everyone. Okay. All right, so now that the air conditioning is on, let's talk about this. So this is going to get adhered to this corner, like so. You'll notice I'm not centering it side to side, that there's less over here, and that's because I want it 1/8 of an inch in from the edge that'll be on the outside, because this edge is going to blend into the base page, so it doesn't matter. Then once you get to this point, okay, all you're going to do is just staple it. Just right on the edges. Like 1/8 of an inch in. You can measure if you want to. Or you can just eyeball it. See, I didn't want to have to use a tiny attacher because my tiny attacher isn't really working. So angry right now. Okay. All right, that's going to turn this into a little tiny pocket, okay? All right, then I'm just gonna, we're gonna take the other pattern of paper and we're gonna stick it down. Yeah, what's with tiny attach? I mean, granted, mine is very old, so it's definitely, I'm moving to the house after grab quick. I'll turn the sound off. Okay, so the next piece, and we've chosen this one, is I just need a piece that's 1 3/4 by let's do 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. All right, so I've trimmed it, and And now I'm going to cut 1 3/4 inches off. Maybe tiny attachers just suck. Maybe, oh, just one thing of staples. I'll try that. I mean, I put the larger pieces because these tiny, when it's just these small pieces, they don't work. Maybe it got stretched out already. It's already a lost cause. The only thing I like about it is really actually just genuinely smaller than a mini stapler, and how flat the staples lay is really nice, but I don't need the drama. I'm tired from moving, so I would get it if it was tired. Okay. So here's my 1 3/4 inch piece. And we're going to put it here. And I think I'm going to have to take out the tiny attachers because I have to wrap this over the top. That's fine. It's fine. All right. Of course I'm bleeding. Right, so let's just deal with this. So I don't get blood on the paper. Okay. Cool. Maybe next my foot can just fall off. That'll be good. That'll be sweet. Okay. Did I? Oh, I stabbed myself with this. This slipped and it went straight into the pad of my finger. I was hoping it wouldn't matter, but then of course it got blood on the cardstock, so it mattered. Okay, you have not missed too much, Donna. You're good. Alright, then I'm just going to fold it along that score line that I made earlier. Alright, so then what's going to happen is we're going to glue it to the back. We're going to do the staples and then we'll glue it to the front, okay? Alright, so that way the staples will be covered. Now, if I had found the brads, we would just, you know, have decorated it and then put the brad through it from the front to the back, and that would have been that. So if you have the brads, you can do that instead. All right. Okay, so this is the back, so it's the back that we're going to adhere first. The reason we're doing this is so that it's easier for things to slide in and out of a pocket if they're sliding past a fold than an edge. So it's really just to get this fold. I mean, it's also so that it will be cute, but it's primarily to get the fold. Okay. All right, so you can see that's not stuck down. So now we can go ahead and staple everyone together. Remove the tape and stick it down. And so now it's a little tiny pocket. Okay. And now we can put tape on the back of the whole thing and stick it down here, and we've got a little tiny pocket. Ta-da! All right, so we're just gonna stick it down. Easy peasy. Okay, and then we're going to put like a 1.5 inch little tag in here that we're going to make a journaling spot from. Oh, here it is. All right, so with this I want to line it up with the outside edge. Oh, I didn't put tape on this. Oops. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I've gotten enough tape in there that it should be all good. I'm just going to burnish it really quickly from the back so that the tape's easier to remove. Okay, all right, so that little side is done. So now we'll do this other side. So you'll get to see it all again when we do the bigger version. So it's all the same steps. It's just with the bigger version. So what we need now is from this, we need a piece. Actually, oh, I can just use this scrap because as long as this heart gets folded to the back, then it's fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this. So I'm going to cut this down to 6 1/4. And it's the same, it's the right width because it's the width that it's this over here. It's the same height as this. It's the leftover piece of that, so it's the exact right height, which is 1 3/4. So now I'm just gonna run my bone folder along this edge so I can fold it back. All right, and then I should be able to just tuck it on. Now on this one, I want to make sure that my 1/8 and 1/8 are on this right hand corner because it's the opposite corner. So it's the free corner, whatever corner is free. So that way this side, which has less, is the side that's going to blend into the spine and not the side that you're going to see because it's right on the edge. Okay. All right, so then we're going to put 2 lines of tape on each side, and then we're only going to stick down the side that's inside, I guess. And then just in case I spontaneously start singing it, I have What's Going On from 4 Non-Blondes stuck in my head. So, you know, sorry if I sing it because then it'll get stuck in your head. I know how it goes. So I'm going to try not to transfer it to you. Although I guess by just telling you, I could have transferred it to you already. You could all be singing, hey, hey. Oh, sorry. Not going to do it. Can't. Hopefully it's not too late. All right, so I'm going to remove the tape from what is going to be the backslash inside, and then I'm going to use the untaped side to, line up and get it exactly right. What is the problem now? I've never struggled so much in my life to stick something down. I'm just gonna quit crafting and delete my YouTube channel. I think that's the only answer. It's the only solution that's left to me. If I can't glue a liner on a pocket, I just don't know anymore. I just don't know. It's just sorry. I'm sorry. I'm washed up. I'm washed up. What is the matter? Oh my gosh. All right. We finally got it down. Crisis semi-averted. Let's see if we can get the other half of the liner on it. Before all hell breaks loose. Okay. So I'm just going to put the 3/4 inch tape along the bottom. Yeah. Somewhere in the universe, past Kathryn and present Kathryn are having a discussment. All right, so just gonna line this up. With this one. All right. So that makes the pocket. So then we flip this up. Something is happening. Past Kathryn and present Kathryn and future Kathryn all ran into each other in some kind of multiverse, and now the space-time continuation has been disrupted and life as we know it is over. This is just the first symptom, but things are going to get worse, you know. Things are going to get worse as we go on. All right. So I'm going to stick this down to the purple, and then I'll use the normal tape up on this portion. Actually, at one point, and you guys missed it, I did turn the mic off. When I stabbed my finger, I was so annoyed by that I turned the mic off when I went to go wash my hand, because it's a puncture wound and you want to clean those as best you can. But like before I went in the house, I screamed into a pillow. My sister and I have a pillow in here that says "Scream Here" on it, which is a joke for like when you're having it, like you have a work call that's driving you crazy or something. That's why it's in the room, but I did scream into it because it's night and I didn't want to, you know, make the neighborhood think I was getting murdered. So it was just like a scream of frustration. I was like, why? It didn't even hurt that much. Like, it just was annoying. Okay, so the book club book this month was The House in the Pines. It wasn't a hit. You know, the person who had the most positive things to say about it said pretty, like, you know, neutral was more like, it was fine. You know, it was okay. And they also acknowledged, it was Mary, I think, that if you thought that the main of a, you say son of a biscuit eater. It's so funny because a friend of mine from college, we've always said son of a biscuit to each other. Because one year when we were in college for Lent, we gave up cursing and we came up with all these things to say instead. And yeah, son of a biscuit was one of them. All right. It's on. Yeah, we did it. So we've got our two cute little lined pockets. And so the things will just like go in and they'll just stand in it. And there's enough pressure from the staples that it holds things in. Okay, so yay, we did it. Yeah, see, my staples get all like broken apart and munched up at the end. Like this one. That happens all the time. So I think I may just need to reevaluate. Perhaps get a replacement tiny attacher. Maybe one of the craft prizes for Scrappy Bowl will be a tiny attacher, and I'll just get 2 of them. And I'll get one for me and one for the person who wins. Scrappy Bowl. So yes, Scrappy Bowl's coming up this weekend. We're going to have a good time. We're going to make glitter bombs and then drink them. It'll be exciting. Okay, so we just need something to go here to line those little bits. So I'm going to go ahead and use, so yeah, oops, I closed the chat so I can't see you right now. Hold on, it was an accident. I didn't do it on purpose. All right, chat's back. So I did say I would get some questions about the book. So one of the questions is Penguin Random House put out a book club discussion guide. So the first question is, Maya shies away from true intimacy by withholding important information from Dan. How does finally telling the truth about her alcohol dependence and Klonopin withdrawal, as well as Aubrey's death and her suspicions about Frank, change Maya's relationship with Dan? So let me know your thoughts on the Maya-Dan situation. Well, first of all, who thinks Maya and Dan are in it for the long haul? They're gonna make it. Who thinks we're gonna be getting 40th wedding and anniversary party invitations from the 2 of them? I think I'll do the plaid, maybe. Oh yeah, let me put the book in the corner, and I'm just going to be getting 2 strips of pattern paper to stick here for the people who are wanting to avoid spoilers. On this panel's I want to say 1.5 inches. Yes, 1.5 inches. So we're going to do 1.25 inch strips, just 2 of them, 1.25 by 6.25. So that's what you need to know, 1.25 by 6.25. Just write it down so you can see it. All right, so that's all we're doing, and I'm going to make it out of this plaid, I think. All right, not the plaid, maybe. Maybe we'll do the Let It Snow. Yeah, we'll do Let It Snow. Okay. All right, so let me put the book up. So yeah. Let me know in the chat if you think Maya and Dan are going to make it. If you get sticking together forever vibes from them. So, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't have the same feeling. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, if I need 1 1/4 inch, I'm going to cut a 2 1/2 inch strip off of this. It's not straight, you can see. Actually, maybe what I'll do is I'll cut off that raggedy edge. So I'll cut 2 1/2 inches in from there, and then I'll cut. Okay, so I evened up that edge, and now I'll take a 2 1/2 inch strip. First of all, who knows who Maya and Dan are in the chat right now? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it 2 1/2 inches, and then I'm going to cut that into 6 1/4. I can just do this on the trimmer. Yeah, no idea who Maya and Dan are. From the House in the Pines? Okay. Oh, you can't add anything. Well, Mandy, I can save you some time. The book is... Gretchen says, oh, right, I hate them so much. I forgot their names. Yeah. Yeah, so my... poor Mandy. Actually, this is a good example of why the library is so great. You know, why the Libby app is so helpful and important. Because what if we'd bought this book? You know, what if we spent money on this book? What kind of a message would we be sending the publisher? Sorry. All right, so we're going to put that there, and we're going to put that there. All right, so let me just take the little thing down for 1 second. Okay, so now that these are 1 1/4 by 6 1/4, all done in the, all laid out or whatever, cut out, I'm going to ink the edges and then stick them down. You read it, Pat. What did you think? Do you think Maya and Dan are going to make it? For those of you who can't remember who the characters are, Maya is the main character of the book, the point of view character, and Dan is her boyfriend at the beginning of the book in the present day timeline. And Frank is her boyfriend in the past timeline. So when they say Maya shies away from true intimacy by withholding important information from Dan, how does finally telling the truth about her alcohol dependence and Klonopin withdrawal, as well as Aubrey's death and her suspicions about Frank, change Maya's relationship with Dan? So the thing is Dan, like, I mean, maybe they'll work out, but Dan doesn't know who Maya is, because Maya doesn't know who Maya is. So, you know, that's the real problem with their relationship, is she doesn't just lie to Dan. She's been lying to herself. She hasn't gotten adequate mental health treatment. You know, she has multiple addictions. You know, it's not just a matter of going through Klonopin withdrawal. So actually, this is an anecdote. I've been through Klonopin withdrawal. And that's because I've had really terrible insomnia. I'm sure I've mentioned this a million times. I have really terrible insomnia since I was around 15 years old. And it's been a problem my whole life. I've been diagnosed with a circadian rhythm disorder. You know, I try to manage it the best I can through good sleep hygiene practices, like not drinking too much caffeine late in the day, getting up at the same time every day, regardless of whether or not you slept, yada, yada. So I do what I can. But, you know, when I was in my 20s and I was working a 9-to-5 job with an hour commute each way, you know, I had to have a sleeping medication. And I don't know why. I think it is kind of a weird thing, like as an adult now, looking back on it. But my doctor prescribed Klonopin as a quote-unquote gentle sleep aid. Now, it's possible. Klonopin's an antipsychotic. It is used as a sleep aid, but there are other drugs that are sleep aids that you can try first. One of which is that are not physically addicting. So the problem with Klonopin and why I've been through Klonopin withdrawal is because Klonopin is physically addicting, not just habit forming. So some drugs, people get addicted to them because their body like literally thinks it needs them and they physically suffer if they don't have them. Those are physically addictive drugs. The physical withdrawal symptoms, they don't last all that long, I don't think. But I went off it by accident. I didn't know any of this. And I just ran out and I couldn't get a refill on my prescription. And I was like, oh, well, whatever. I guess I just won't sleep tonight. And then had a bad night. Had a bad couple days. And I called the doctor and he's like, well, you can't just go off Klonopin like that. You know, you have to titrate off it. There's like a whole procedure. And I was like, well, it's too late now. I mean, I already did it. Prescribe me something else, man. I'm never taking this again. Like, and I wish I had known all of this about it when I took it the first time. You know, when you prescribed it. Like, this should have been told to me, you know. So anyway, they use it kind of like as a Xanax alternative for people with anxiety. It has a lot of like off-label uses, I guess. But so she was kind of giving it for sleeping as well, but she was more taking it for like anxiety, kind of like people would. Actually, Melanie, for some people that works, and that's because you can create like a Pavlov's dog thing where drinking your favorite caffeinated beverage makes you feel tired because you usually drink it when you're tired, you know? So when she was talking about like her Klonopin problem, like it didn't, like, it was sounded like it was going on for weeks and weeks and weeks. That wasn't like I'm working the Klonopin out of my system. You know what I mean? Like what she was describing. And this is where, you know, I don't trust this author. If I trusted this author, I would assume that that was a message that she had much bigger problems than just the physical withdrawal and she was a complete disaster and she probably should be in an institution for a couple weeks to get herself together and then to be released back, you know, to, you know, with a treatment plan for her life or whatever. Aha, this is how they go. Okay. So anyway, I thought it was just, so, but because I don't trust the author, I don't know if she just didn't Google what it's like, or I don't know if I just, because I was on such a low dose and it wasn't a big deal. And so I had an atypical reaction, but even just like anything I knew anything about just sounded wrong in this book. Plus eventually I got so, I felt so negative towards everyone and everything that was happening. Like the book could have given me $1 million and I would have been like, oh great, now what? Just like, so. But anyway, so yeah, I really didn't, I don't know. I mean, to be fair, she was probably taking a lot more than I was. She wasn't taking it so that she could go to sleep before work. Okay, so that's good. So now we've got the back matted. So now let's work on the front and what we're going to do with the front. So, okay, let me get rid of this. All right, so we've got the back matted. So now we're working on the front. And the main thing is this has got to get attached, you know, over here. So we've got to decorate the back of it. And I think we'll put a card or something like on the back so it'll peek out a little bit. And then what I want to do is over here, right in the center, I want to put a photo mat. And then I want to put pattern paper above and below the photo mat. And I want to line this up with that photo mat so the photos lay on top of each other. Because I want to, or whatever. So let's look at our cards. And we can pick a card to go on the front of this, on the back of this. So, you know, we'll see what we see. Yeah, she was drinking a lot. She was drinking a lot. Well, and I think, and this is part of my problem with this particular type of domestic thriller being so like overwritten and by overwritten I mean like there's been too many of them. I do kind of like that. And my issue is that if the main character is psychotic, drinking to excess, and withdrawing from drugs, then how, and when I say when the main character is psychotic, I mean like diagnosed by a doctor as being psychotic. So I like that Hello Snow as well. Let's go with the Hello Snow. Not me just saying that's what I think. Now, you know, the issue is, I don't know what to believe. And I don't think in this specific case that I know that the author is giving me everything I need to come to the conclusions the author wants me to come to. All right, this one would be good to go on the back, actually. So like when someone who you can't believe a word that they think, let alone say, okay, is telling you, well, hold on a second. I'm going to use this on the back. Anything that I need to fill in that this doesn't cover, I'll fill in with these trees right here. Oh no, I'll use a little strip of this wood. I'll use a little strip of this wood. So this is going to go on the front of the flap. This is going to go on the back of the flap. We're going to fill in with a little strip of this wood. So I'm going to prepare all of those. And then I'm going to put the spoiler thing back up so I can show you. All right. Okay. So if you just literally don't know, not only do you not know if they're telling you the truth, you don't know if they're telling themselves the truth or thinking the truth to themselves, or that they even know the truth at all. So when you're dealing with this in a book, every once in a while, it can be kind of intriguing to try and figure out from context clues what's really going on, since you can't trust the narrator. But ever since this became a thing, I just don't care anymore. You know? I just don't care. I don't want to try and, if I'm trying to solve a mystery, I want it to be because the mystery is complex and interesting, and so are the clues. I don't want it to be because we really just, well, we don't know. Because when you get to the end of this book, do we even still know? Because the explanation, which is my boyfriend learned super hypnotism from his dad, and he made me imagine a cottage out of the thin air, is not a reasonable explanation. Now, it seems like the cops believed her, but I don't know, because this is a woman who imagined a cabin in the woods. So I don't know if those cops are real. Those cops could be people who work in a psychiatric facility. I have no idea. And I just find that kind of annoying now. I'm just over it. So over it. You know, I just realized that I don't know if this is the right height. So what we may do is just make a piece of this that's big enough to layer this over it. But when I'm done cutting it out, of course, we can hold it up and we'll know if it's the right height at that time. Is it the super hypnotism? Because, I mean, when they were trying to explain to me that it wasn't just hypnotism, it was like this super special hypnotism that his dad invented, because his dad was like, the whole thing reminded me of, I thought of the Unabomber more times during the ending of this book than I've thought about the Unabomber probably in my life. I mean, I was like, because, you know, the Unabomber was experimented on by an unethical psychiatrist and a psychologist when he was young, and it permanently messed up his brain. The Unabomber lived in a weird cabin in the woods. Like, the Unabomber was super smart but crazy and a murderer. Like, he just reminded me of the Unabomber. Like, that's what he reminded me of. So this woman who used to date the Unabomber, who kills people with his mind, come on, like, they can't seriously. So I'm sorry. Okay. Just, okay, so it is the right height, so that's good at least. So what we can do is just add the little bit of the wood that we need to bridge the gap. It's only like, we have to get within like an inch of the end. So, you know, we do need quite a decent amount of this wood grain. I'm sorry. I don't know, man. Something about this book made me so annoyed. I'm sure you can tell that I'm annoyed. Okay. All right, so we've got this to go on the front. I'm just going to go ahead and stick this one on the front because I don't need it to be, I've convinced you. I'm sorry, Candy. I'm sorry. Were you really looking forward to it? Ella? Ella just said that it happens to her a lot that she'll be reading a book and all of a sudden she'll say, "Are you effing kidding me?" And because the plot is so dumb. And her husband will look up and say, "What did I do?" Look, Candy, you might love it. Maybe Unabomber fan fiction is for you, you know? Maybe that's mean. That was too mean. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Anya Reyes and her editor and her agent and Penguin Random House. So anyway, House in the Pines. When they were explaining hypnotism and they were talking about Pavlov's dogs and the conditioning, and I was just like, I refuse to believe that in the science of conditioning, we just go from Pavlov to this guy's dad. Like, that's the other thing. Like, don't villain monologue about something that you clearly know nothing about. So, it's just like... I just read another stupid book where she found her missing boss's passport when they were supposed to be out of the country, and then she thought it was okay because some people just have 2 passports just in case. Do some people have 2 passports? I mean, maybe rich people who fly all the time, but I honestly, like, you have to, if you want another passport, you have to like swear to the government that your passport was destroyed or lost, or you have to turn it in. So, like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, that's a person who's never applied for a passport who wrote that book. Like, it's just like, I mean, that's what. All right, so this piece gets stuck to this side, and then we'll fill in the rest. Yes, if you get a replacement, you do get... Yes, it's true, Gretchen. Well, so, like, I got my first adult passport from the State Department. Like, I physically went to the State Department because when we lived in Miami, because Mr. Lifeguard was stationed at the Defense Intelligence Agency, the State Department would do these passport days where people who were in the military or worked for the government could go in, and you would just stand in line and they would give you could get a passport right there. Like, they were printing them there and everything. It was like the same procedure that they do when there's when you have a passport emergency, you know? And I didn't have my infant passport from when I was a child. And they grilled me like I was 25 or 28. I was 28, okay? They grilled me at the State Department about this passport. Was it destroyed? Do you know who has it? Do your parents have it? Da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not going to use it now. There's a baby on it. Like, what are you doing? So, so I'm telling you, these authors aren't even Googling. They are not even Googling. They are not thinking. The editors are not editing. I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand. I don't understand why books are so bad. It just feels like books have been so bad for like the last 2 or 3 years. Did the pandemic make books bad? Is that what happened? I mean, it must have affected the publishing industry somehow. It must have affected the authors' brains. You know, like, maybe that's it. Maybe that's why books are so bad now. So, but it just seems like the last few years books have been really bad. Cheddar Tot! Cheesy potatoes. Cheesy potatoes. Cheesy potatoes. Hi, sweetie. Yes, I have read. I mean, I read The House in the Pines and I got to the end of it and I was like, I can't believe that was real. I can't believe that was a book that got published. A tree died. Trees were massacred for The House in the Pines. They gave their lives for nothing. Okay. So Gretchen said also that some of the names of places were pronounced wrong on the audiobook. And she was wondering how that happens. Let me tell you, I read this book series and I listened to audiobooks forum where the audiobook narrator pronounced the word grimaced, and it wouldn't have been a big deal except that the author used a lot of facial description almost in like a very immature kind of fan fiction-y way. It was not good writing. And so the word grimaced was used over 60 times in the book. So people were constantly grimacing, and every time he said grimaced, I was like on a rocket to the moon. I'm like incandescent with rage. Like by the end, I was just like, kill me. Just someone kill me. So yeah. But anyway, so I was just like, the book that was not the only problem with the book, but that didn't help. Okay. Like sometimes if I'm struggling with a book, if I switch to the audio book, it can help me get through like a part I'm having trouble with. So like with, The House in the Pines, I fell asleep almost instantly every time I tried to read it. So eventually yesterday I just had to put the audiobook on and make myself like get through it, you know. Your sister Beverly's sister pronounces fatigue as fatigo. What are some ones? First of all, I'll admit that I thought the French name Jacques was pronounced Jacques until I was around 12. I would say. I think when I was in middle school, my mom heard me say it once and was like, what on earth are you trying to say? So yeah, but I recently learned that the word forte, like as in FORTE, as in that's not my forte, I recently learned that that is correctly pronounced fort. And I learned it from an audiobook where the audiobook narrator pronounced it fort, and I was like, what? Fort? And then I looked it up and she was correct. She was correct. So forte is like mauve. It's one of those creepers where everyone on the planet is saying it wrong, so we don't know we're wrong. All right, so I am going to cut a 2-inch strip of this, and that'll be enough, probably. When the grimaced thing happened, I did look up if people in the UK, because the author had a British, or the narrator had a British accent, if people in the UK pronounced that grimaced, because I just wanted to make sure before I started making accusations that the audiobook narrator wasn't just using a pronunciation I was unfamiliar with because I'm ignorant about a ton of stuff. I know cheddar cheese, tater tot, cheddar tot, tater cheese. Ooh, tater cheese. So anyway, oh my gosh. Okay, so Maya and Dan's relationship is destined for the toilet. Okay, I think we know that. Maya's experience with addiction ranges from always liking a good buzz ever since the first time Aubrey swiped a pint of her mom's vodka and they drank it stirred into Sunny D, to rationalizing her dependence, telling herself it wasn't a lie, just an omission, that she kept the pills in an aspirin bottle for convenience, not to hide them. How does Maya's dependence on various substances serve to keep her isolated in her adult life? I mean, Maya, I'm not sure Maya's isolated in her adult life because of her dependence on various substances. I don't think that helps. But I think Maya is isolated in her adult life for the same reason that she's on these adult substances, which is she has some kind of major childhood trauma that she has never appropriately addressed. Oh my gosh. Beverly just said, I hate when I say something wrong, but that's life. I have to read you this passage from a book I finished this weekend because I read it and I was just like, this is so me when I spontaneously remember something cringe I did a while ago. So let me find the quote. Well, let me just get my Kindle because my Kindle's in here, so I know I highlighted it. Because it's about that feeling when you, like, people see you messing up, I guess. That, like, when you're visibly messing up. Okay, here it is. I found it. Okay. All right, let me find it. Oh, I thought I highlighted it, but I didn't highlight it. Oh, maybe was it in the book before this book? Ugh, whatever. All right. Let me try searching. I mean, this show's already so off the rails that it's like... All right, here it is. I found it. Okay. Basically, the situation is, for context, that the narrator character is in the presence of someone who can influence other people's emotions by their own strong emotions. So their very strong emotions transfer to other people, okay? So it says, a sudden deep silence followed these words. It swelled and deafened us. Then a deep, anguished groan vibrated the deck beneath us. I wondered if the others felt, as I did, a welling of unbearable guilt that washed through me with the sound. I recalled every foolish thing, every evil and selfish thing I had ever done in my life. Shame surged through me so that I longed to die invisibly and alone. But, like, I don't know if this ever happens to you, or, like, it'll be, like, 2 o'clock in the morning and suddenly you'll remember something really, like, heinously embarrassing you did when you were, like, 13. And you're just like, ah! I can't believe I was a child and disgusting. So. Yeah, that never happens on this show. Well, the good news is we freed up a hold spot for Candy. So... So anyway, but yeah, so that was that. But this is just, I don't know. I'm feeling much better about this book because I'm hoping that we love The House of Eve. The House of Eve was on my list of books to read this year before we did the Reese decision. And in fact, I didn't have to put it on hold because I already had it on hold. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to Tom Lake. I think Yellowface will have a good discussion. I'm looking forward to rereading it. Wow. I'm looking forward to rereading it because I liked it enough that I will reread it for the discussion, to have it fresh. I think I'll catch more nuance the second time around. There's quite a few books on the list. Whatever Happened to Kitty Carr made me think like it might be like a more interesting version of Evelyn Hugo, possibly. The one about the woman who lives her life out of order or something was really interesting looking. So yeah, there's quite a few. I think most of the books that are left are going to be at least decent to discuss. Like, I'd be surprised if we had another one this bad. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make 2 center marks on this. And I'm going to okay. It's true that our discussions are better on books we hate. Like, this discussion is pretty funny. I don't know why I'm measuring this because I'm going to have to, okay. It is bad that we started with this one. I agree, Judy. I agree. Because I read Yellow Wife by Sadiqa Johnson the year when it came out, and it's one of the best books about like, it was just such an interesting angle to take on the antebellum South that I hadn't seen before, and it addressed some things that I don't see addressed a lot in books about that time period, like what the everyday life was like, you know, for the people who were enslaved. Like, not the like working in the field part of it or whatever, but the interior life and like the community amongst them and things like that. And I don't know, it was so very interesting. It's so good to see like a full life experience kind of given. It's heavy book. So Ella said Reese said this book was a can't put down thriller, a wild ride that she flew through chapter after chapter. That was not correct. That was not my experience. Maybe that was Reese's experience. Yellow Wife is not, but The House of Eve is written by the woman who wrote Yellow Wife. It's her second book. So Yellow Wife is her first book and House of Eve is her second book. And House of Eve is February's book. Anyway, so I marked that. Well, one thing I can do is I can actually use it to... I wanted to mark where the tape was going to go, so at least I can do that. Maybe she did fly through it to get it done. But I'm glad that we're going to enjoy the House of Eve, Judy, because I did have high hopes for that one. So. All right. Let me just turn this back on to give them a little rundown. Okay, so I just want to give a little rundown of what I've been doing for anyone who's been on mute, and that is that I found the center of this panel. Okay, so that's what I was doing, making these V's. So I found the center of this panel, And that was a waste of time because my plan was to like line it up with the pencil line and glue it down, and then I remembered I have to mat this with pattern paper so I won't be able to see this line. But instead of like making it a waste of time, I just used that to trace on the back where the line is going to go, and that way I can get my tape positioned properly, and I can just use the pencil line on the back to line everything up and glue it down. So all right. So yeah. But anyway, I'm glad we got some chuckles out of The House in the Pines. I mean, I feel bad. I thought it might be interesting, but it wasn't. So, all right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this down. And it's going to look like that when it's open, which is cool. Oh, my little snuggle bunny. Oh. Little sleepy Marcel. Hi, little buddy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's still happening. So Judy said it's bad that we started with this one because it gave me questions about Reese's List. I mean, it's so funny because I was telling Mr. Lifeguard and my sister about how bad the book was and how the theme was, can we trust Reese Witherspoon? And I don't. I have trust issues. Reese and I are not in sync, you know? If she asked me to help her bury a body, I wouldn't do it because I don't know if she could be cool if the cops caught us. So we did talk about the Hugo Awards recently, yes. There's some kind of scandal going on with them, with the voting in China. Right. So, my sister and I actually talked about that after the show this afternoon, Gretchen. It's so funny because you and I are thinking along parallel lines. But one of the things I said to her is, if you've never read a thriller, particularly if you've never read a domestic thriller with a drunk woman narrator, then this might feel interesting to you because it's not a guy like Liam Neesoning all over Europe to like save a lost artifact or whatever, you know. So, but once you realize this is a massive trend that's hugely, like there's tons of them, and after you've read the same exact plot like a half dozen times, you're like, okay, enough. These are just, they're you can still recognize when it's done well, and this one was not done well in my opinion, but like you're not going to enjoy them, you know. And I think that happens with any genre that you're really leaning into. And for me, when I find that I'm consistently having like diminished enjoyment for books in a particular genre that I was expecting to love, what I'll do is I'll switch genres. So when I'm starting to really find weird literary fiction uninteresting, I'll read fantasy for a while. And when I feel like every fantasy world is the same carbon copy of medieval Europe and I'm over it, then I'll read science fiction, you know. Then I'll mix it up with a thriller or a romance once I'm tired of all the science terms, you know. If I've read a long book, maybe I'll read a short book. If I've read a slow book, I'll read a fast-paced book. I gotta like I'm constantly, because I read so many books in so many genres, I have to kind of constantly be mixing through them. So I do think you're very much onto something. Yes. So the Da Vinci Code is a perfect example of like a wildfire phenomenon book that it's like, but David Baldacci has already written how many books like this? You know, not that the Da Vinci Code isn't a fun time, you know, not that it's not teaching people interesting stuff about history and religion and the history of religion. Like there's a lot of research clearly that went into the Da Vinci Code as well, you know, so, yeah, I mean, they like really deep cut type stuff. Like like, there's stuff about Catholicism in the book. It's not all perfect, but there's stuff about weird little sects of Catholicism in there that do still exist, but like most people aren't in them and things like that. So like he really must have done a ton of research. So anyway, but yeah, if you've already read a bunch of books like Taken, how many versions of Taken have they made poor Liam Neeson make now? Because he's made all the Taken movies, plus he's made a ton of Taken clones because they just want him to do Taken again because, you know, so anyway, we've learned so much about ourselves and the world today. Okay. All right. So now we've got the backs done. Let me just slap some tape on them. Oh, I already did that. Never mind. Let's not do that. Okay. So we've got the undersides done. So I stuck it down anyway, like a weird maniac. Okay. That's fine. You know what? We're going to roll with it somehow. I'm going to figure it out. All right, so this is 2 inches by 6.5 inches. So I'm going to cut something that's 1 3/4 inches by 6 1/4 that I want to go right here. And then we'll do something similar opposite. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this paper because we haven't used it for much. Well, we haven't used it for anything, actually. It's the only paper we haven't used at all. So I'll just do this. On this side. Okay, so I like a lot of Dan Browns, but not that Dan Brown book. I've only read the Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown, so I don't know what's good or not. But yeah, it's interesting what books kind of break out, you know, out of their niches into the public eye. Like one that I thought was really interesting, and when they do it, so like during the pandemic, a book that Octavia E. Butler, she's the author of Kindred, that was a book club book. A book that Octavia E. Butler wrote in the early 2000s, called Parable of the Sower, became a bestseller because the events in the book that the people in the book are going through, they're going through a pandemic, and there was a conservative politician in the book who borrows the catchphrase from Ronald Reagan, "Make America Great Again." That's where that originates. So before, like 10 years before Donald Trump ran for president of the United States using "Make America Great" as his campaign slogan, she had written a book about that. People were like, "Oh my gosh, it's like a prophecy." You know, obviously she just saw trends and, you know, wrote about them and whatever. But it's interesting how, you know, she'd been dead for a decade when the book became a bestseller. And the book became a bestseller because that was its moment, that people wanted it, that it was needed. And for whatever reason, the Da Vinci Code had its moment. Now, it might be interesting to see if anyone's ever done a analysis of what was going on that might have made people in the world, you know, interested in something like the Da Vinci Code, or if it was just one of those things like the Barbie movie where it was just fun and people liked it. Okay, so this isn't bending the same way, so I'm going to have to map it out. Oh, well, it actually is. It just doesn't feel like it is, so let me put it back. But anyway. Okay, so what I've done, you can see it, is by burnishing around the edges, I can now come in with my scissors and cut this to size. Oh, let me tell you about the sandwiches we had for dinner. It was so easy. So if you need like a quick weeknight meal idea, it's not healthy, but we got from Costco the Tyson panko breaded chicken tenders. And we haven't been using them like chicken tenders really too much. They've kind of been just in the freezer because they're so big. They're like a whole chicken breast. And I think it's because what they do is they're pounding the chicken tender flat. So they come out the size of like a small chicken breast, but like a cutlet. And I've just been like, what can we do with these? Because they're not like totally amazing as like when you want a chicken tender, that's kind of not what you don't want to be cutting up a chicken cutlet basically. To eat with a knife and fork. So I had the idea today, what if we turn them into chicken sandwiches? So I mixed half and half spicy brown mustard and mayo. And that was our sauce. And we put shredded lettuce, Havarti cheese, and ta-da! Look at that. Look at that. Perfect. Perfection. I don't like the movie that much. I mean, to be fair, I listened to the book on audio on my commute to work in the mid-2000s, so I don't remember a ton about any of it. I don't remember, like, having strong feelings about the book one way or another, like loving it or hating it, you know? But I don't think the movie was great for me. What's really funny is around the time that movie was in the theaters, Paul Bettany, who plays the monk who's chasing them, he was in another film where he played a Dominican priest, a medieval Dominican priest who has to run from his village, where he's a priest because he had an affair with someone's wife, blacksmith's wife, I want to say. And while he's running, he runs into some mummers. Before they did plays, before plays were a thing, people acted out religious stories, like stories from the Bible in medieval England. They did these, or like morality tales and things. They were all very biblical, and they were about how to be better Christians for the most part, or better people for the most part. So this movie's about people who do that. And Willem Dafoe plays their head guy. And he joins up with them because he can't go back to being a priest. And I will never get over the fact that I watched 2 movies where Paul Bettany was a weird monk in a row, like practically. And she and I still talk about it to this day because she was my roommate at the time, so we saw both these movies together. So it's like we still talk about it to the day, the time we accidentally had a Paul Bettany as a medieval monk like movie marathon. It was so weird. So now I just think of Paul Bettany as the monk guy. Which I don't think is really his vibe, but that's just, I can't, it's just in my brain forever. That's it. Yum, yum, yum. Tater Tot is chirping and trilling and zooming around trying to get someone interested in his existence. So, poor little guy. All right. So we'll get this stuck down to duh. All right, and this is gonna be one long one. All right, so we're almost done. The last piece is I'm just gonna put a photo mat across underneath here. I'm going to center it top to bottom, and then I'm going to fill in with this blue. So it's going to look like the blue goes all the way around. So there's going to be a photo mat right underneath this. Okay. But what I'm not going to do is actually have the blue go all the way around. I'm just going to cut a 6.25 inch square of the blue and put the photo mat on top of it. Because like, why make it hard? You know, I can just print more paper. So I don't need any more challenges tonight, clearly. So, all right, let's do that. All right. Yep. 6.25 inches. But like I said, part of the reason I was leaning towards Reese for the Celebrity Book Club Challenge is because the books that I've read that have had Reese stickers on, I felt mostly positive towards, and I do think she generally picks good books. This one wasn't a hit for us, or at least not for all of us, but that's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. I think it's just bad. The Reckoning. That's probably it. Is it about like a mystery in a castle? If Willem Dafoe and Paul Bettany are in it and Paul Bettany's a monk, that's got to be it. But that does sound right. What I wonder is did he get the job in Da Vinci Code because someone saw The Reckoning, or vice versa, you know? Or is it just a coincidence? Because that would be even weirder. But, you know, there's 11 more books, and a lot of them look good. And some of them I already had on my list. Some of them I've already read. It was a 2004 movie. So the Da Vinci Code was what, 2005? So The Reckoning would have been first. Question mark. So well, it would make more sense for him to go from The Reckoning to the Da Vinci Code, because wasn't the Da Vinci Code a breakout-ish role for him? Or what? I feel like he wasn't that famous before it. But maybe he was, and I just don't know. You know, I'll admit that I'm not a huge follower of Paul Bettany's career, the highs and lows of it all. So, he was also in A Knight's Tale. Was he a monk in that? That would be amazing. I hope so. A Beautiful Mind was more of a breakout role. That's true. That's true. Because he had like a real, like, he doesn't even talk in the Da Vinci Code, I don't think, right? Or not much at all. I did see a movie with him as a tennis player. He's like an up-and-coming star trying to date someone who's kind of over tennis, or is it the other way around? But I did see the tennis movie. By the way, just while we're on the topic of tennis, if you haven't read Andre Agassi's memoir, then you're missing out. You're missing out. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to put a photo mat on here. And I just need a 4x6 horizontal photo mat. Oh, these are 4x6 horizontals. All right, so we're just going to stick that right in the middle. Do we want to put like a little pink scallop? Like, if I can, I'm going to take this over to my, oh, I don't need to take it anywhere. I have a swatch book. I just want to see if I have a pink that's like similar. I don't think I do, but ooh, close enough. Pink. Close enough. We can make it like a cute little scallop to come out of the bottom and top of the. This one I think is too pink, so the next darker one. Well, no, it goes from pink to cyclamen, and I think the cyclamen is too intense. If you look. Yeah, it's way too much. So we'll just use pink. All right, let's do it. Let's put a little tiny baby scallop with pink cardstock. Oh, I know, buddy. I know. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. Marcel's exhausted, everyone. He would like everyone to respect his privacy at this time. Oh, hi, tiny cat. Say hi. She didn't say hi, but she touched you with her nose, you guys. She touched the microphone with her nose. Hi, honey. Yes, your spot? You love your spot? Yeah. Okay. Marcel's trying to help me get the cardstock out. All right. So we need 1/4 of an inch. So what I'm going to do, or 6 1/4. Okay, first of all, let's find the tiny scallop. Yep, I do have the tiny scallop. Okay, so I'm going to scallop All right, of course I missed one. Hi, buddy. I know. I know. Okay. All right. So I'm going to cut this out. And I only need to do one because I'm going to cut it in half. And I just cut it in half right down the middle like this. Okay. And then all right, and then I'm just going to run a little thin line of glue. Ah! I think that's going to be so adorable. Okay, so that's one side. So we'll just run a similar line of glue on the other side. Okay. So, there we go. All right. Let me just clean up some of this glue. All right. Yay. Okay. Okay. Now I'm just gonna trim. So now it's gonna look like, yes, look at that. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. So, worth doing. Glad we did it. Woo! All right. And I'll keep that pink in case we want to add any other little pink touches elsewhere in the book. So now we just need to center this. So what I'm going to do is center the piece on my mat. And then you're falling behind. No, well, you can catch up next week. Because just a reminder, no class next week, which is February 8th. Because we're doing scrappy bowl cleaning and prep and stuff in the office. So all week we're going to be working on that so that we can do at least a little bit of a tour and have it not be like a total disaster. But you'll see some of the cute stuff that we've done. I'll show you like the coffee bar. I want to show you all the stuff in the room, you know? You know what I mean? So I think we're not going to spend like, you know, a ton of time on it. I mentioned this before. We're not going to do like the one we did where Fran came and wore the sparkly gown and showed everything off. She said she would do that again once I'm like fully like where I have everything meticulously organized to where I know like I know where literally every single thing is, you know, how I had it in that house. So when I got back to that, she did say when I get back to that she'll come and we'll do a full one. So that'll be fun. But yeah, we're not ready ready for that. Because I don't have a lot of like systems yet, because I've been waiting on some of my organization. Like, we've gotten things unpacked, but on systems I need to see kind of how I move in a space and use a space before I want to start working on systems. And so in this house, you know, I've been working on, like, that's it's starting to come together. Like, we are starting to install some systems, and you'll see some of them on Scrappy Bowl. All right. All right. So when they're in the book, they're going to look like this. All right. And then you'll open it. And next week we'll work on, not next week because we won't have a show, but the week after that we'll work on making stuff to go in the pockets. So that'll be that. All right. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay. I really can't wait to make a skinny little journaling tag to go in here. I'm like so very excited about that. I want to do it. So we're going to do it. But here's the schedule. Okay. Next week, February 8th. Well, before that, this weekend, I'm going to put up the Scrappy Bowl post. So it's probably on Sunday. So it's going to run like Sunday through Saturday. So this Sunday, I'm going to put up the Scrappy Bowl post. Let me get the book so you can see how it's all going to lay together. This Sunday, I'm going to put up the Scrappy Bowl post. The Scrappy Bowl prize post will be open all week. So you'll have all week to sign up, okay? You'll have all week to share and do all that. So that'll be available to you, okay? So once it's attached, which we're not going to do because we're not done decorating, but once it's attached, it'll be attached right about here. So this is how it will lay over the others. So you can see how it's going to start to like layer. It's going to like be very layered, very interesting, especially because there's going to be tags here, more tags here, more tags there. So like there's going to be a lot going on in the book. And eventually we're going to have that big pocket with the giant scallop I printed that's going to go right here as well. So, and we're going to do one more layer, and then we'll make that pocket on the base. So we don't have too much more to do in terms of design and construction, but we have a lot more to do in terms of like inserts and decorating, I think. But we don't have a ton left with this book. Okay, we don't have a ton left with this book. But it's very cute. It's very, very cute. I mean, it looks so cool, all laid out like this. Like, I love when it looks like you've just got like a pile of goodies, you know. Anyway, so this weekend, Sunday, prize sign up. If you want to, you know, if you want to check on the weekend, you can. But Monday it'll be there. Okay, Monday it'll be there, so you don't have to worry. So prize signups, they'll go for a week. You'll have until 11:55 p.m. Eastern USA time on Saturday the 10th to sign up. And then you'll also have all the drink recipes so you can get your stuff. I'll put the supply list so you can gather your supplies. Not a lot. It's basically just 10 by 13 envelopes, some chipboard, and whatever pattern paper you want to use, you know. But I'll put up a list. So that'll all happen on Sunday. And then you'll have all week to gather the supplies and do all that. Then on Thursday, February 8th, there will not be a class because, like I said, we're going to be doing some major big work in here all week to get it up to snuff. Then Saturday, prize signups will close. And Sunday, at the same time that the Super Bowl starts, we'll start Scrappy Bowl. So Scrappy Bowl will start. We'll do our meet and greet. We'll chit. We'll chat. We'll drink the glitter bomb. We'll give some prizes away. We'll do a tour. And then we'll start scrapping. And we'll start working on the pocket. And I might think of a new name for it. I may think of a new name for it just to commemorate its hopefully final form. Hopefully this is its final form and this is the last one for sure. But we'll see. But we'll see. So, but here it is. So this is where we are so far. I will see you all on Scrappy Bowl. It'll be great. February 11th. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have so much fun. You're going to see the room. I'll wear a wig. Maybe should I get a pink wig to match the glitter bomb? Well, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I'll wear a cool wig or a hat or something. I'll wear something really funny. We'll just have a good time. We're just going to hang out. So I will see you then, everyone. I will see you then. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful evening, a wonderful weekend, a fabulous week. I hope you get everything you need / want for Scrappy Bowl. Easy, cheap, no problem. And I hope everyone in your family respects your need to have that evening to yourself. So I will see you all at Scrappy Bowl. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.